To beat Fnatic, I think it's just a lot about controlling Huni, because when you play against Huni, you kind of feel like you're playing against a man advantage in every lane because he's everywhere. And then I think it's just a lot about not giving reign over his jungle priorities like Gragas and Rek'Sai, because that's kind of what he relies on so he can snowball top lane.
Welcome back to the European LCS, where Fnatic is looking to keep their record-breaking undefeated streak alive. And well, Fnatic 14-0, that's what they brought it to last week around. Not flawless though in the games versus H2K and OG, down 4.7k on a maximum versus H2K, down 6.8k gold versus OG. But in their defense, what a stellar way to come back in those games as well.
Yeah, and I even read some comments from Fnatic and talking about how being down in those games shows how Fnatic are growing in a mentality state and how they've got this strong mentality factor now for them that they can fall behind like that. And, you know, fall behind in the early game and have it not mean the end of the game. Certainly a very strong performance to come back in both of those games.
Yeah, I don't want to look too far ahead, but obviously whatever we think of when we think of Fnatic is how they might do on the world stage. I don't know if the falling behind here might be a telling tale, and that, of course, better or other teams might punish that. And I don't even think they should think that way, because now they have the chance to work on it.
Right, and that is a big thing that Fnatic, I don't want to say have to fix, because part of me feels like maybe they took just half a foot off the gas. Just they know they've already locked in first place. That's not to say that they're not trying to win. It's saying that maybe they're trying a couple of different things in maybe how they're looking at planning out strategy, that kind of thing throughout the games. I still feel like Fnatic are on track for the 18-0. I wouldn't be too worried if you're a Fnatic fan from last week with regards to at least the EU LCS and the Summer Split.
Yeah, definitely not yet. All teams are trying to give them their first loss, and the next contender here is Roccat, who are trying to fight to stay in playoff contention. They have beaten Origin and H2K before, so they have shown that they have what it takes when it comes to beating those top tier teams.
They have, and honestly, they're one of the only teams that has really played spoiler. They defeated Origin before, they've beaten H2K. I believe they're the only real bottom half of the table team to have even had that feat. So, you know, they've had some tough matchups, but honestly, I feel like they're faring pretty decently. And when you look at the remaining schedule, up until today, I would have said this was a very difficult schedule with regards to Origin and Giants, but Giants and Origin both looked off their game today. I don't think this is quite as tough a schedule for Roccat anymore. As long as they show up with a half-decent strategy, they may be in for a good playoff spot.
Yeah, because we were looking at the team and who had stepped up specifically, but honestly, all the individuals and the teamwork has been paying off for them. Though I do want to mention Nukedog, because he is someone that we're always scrutinizing and while keeping a very close eye on. He has been stepping up the last couple of weeks. A KDA of 3 in weeks 1.1 to 4 to a KDA of 8 in weeks 5 to 7. That VARs, that has been working wonders for them. And I think he is kind of the exemplification of Roccat as a whole doing better.
Certainly, and it's kind of evolved to not just be the Varus. In the last week, we saw him mixing in a couple of other champions into the mix, making sure he was putting up good performances. So Roccat, they have a good platform right now to build themselves into playoffs, but this is going to be their toughest test of the split so far.
We'll see good team play and good individual play. And now for an expert look at how one member of Roccat really brought their A-game to the playoffs race last week, we're going to hand it over to Crepo and his snazzy spectacles. Oh, he's not wearing them.
Yeah, I forgot my spectacles, Shocks, backstage, so it's going out without them this time. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight one of the fancy plays that H2K against Roccat last week kind of ended up happening. And the man to watch is Vander in that clip. We can get the clip on your screen behind me as soon as we can. And the replay starts paused because this is a situation that always happens when H2K plays. Strategically, they are now ahead of Roccat. Roccat is about to get dove in the bottom lane tower, so they need to make something happen to even that out. And we can roll the clip right now. Pay attention, top left corner, teleport from Odoamne comes in too far, should have been on the minion. This forces him to flash. Obviously, Mr. Al is going to go down, but Steve forces Kasing back, and then now watching Vander. His first hook is going to connect with Odoamne, who has no flash anymore. Good target prioritization from Vander. And now this play is 1-1. You think, yeah, why are we analyzing this? Because this is going to happen next. Vander now in an offensive mindset because he knows his jungle is backing up. He's going to flash flay Hjarnan, who obviously can't spell shield that in time. He's going to chase Hjarnan. Hjarnan still has flash at this point. You have to realize that. And so does Vander, because the hook he's about to cast is going to Lulex and not to Hjarnan. He's baiting the spell shield. He's baiting H2K. He's completely mind gaming everybody involved. And we can roll the clip right now. If you see the hook connect, it goes to Lulex instead. He gets dragged in. So in this 3v3, Roccat is winning out. And this offensive mindset now switches to a defensive mindset as Lantern comes out. Even though Jankos flashes out, The distance created by Vander is enough because Ryu is coming in. Watch Vander. Steps into the shock blast. Doesn't let the AoE kill off his teammate. Then flays Jace out of the jump. No hammer time right here. And then goes in for another hook, forcing another summoner spell right here on Kasing. So that's 3 consecutive hooks. A good flay. Positioning in those offensive, defensive mindset switches that were so key for Roccat to come back into this game. And this is something very often they have to do, Roccat. Claw out of their deficit using their mechanics. But so far, they've been growing as a team and they might be able to upset Fnatic in their next match. But obviously, to see that, we'll have to go to the casters who are going to run us through the lineups. Fnatic against Roccat.
Thank you so much, Crepo. Exceptional play from Vander. Last year, his Thresh, there was whispers from some people calling him Vanderlife. It's been a long time since then.
Pretty cool people who called him that, by the way.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the rest of the lineup for Roccat, who are on the blue side with one of the most yelled top laners' names, Steve, Jankos, Nukeduck, Mr. Rals, Vander, and Yamato Cannon.
And of course, we have Fnatic as well on the red side here. Huni in the top lane, Rainova in the jungle. We have Febiven as the mid laner, Reckless the AD carry, Yellow Star support. They lost the coach. And Huni versus Steve. Can it get any better?
I don't think that it can.
Vanderlife versus Yellow Star.
The
Do I need to
audience
keep going?
will have to be yelling. We're going to jump into picks and bans in a moment. Deficio, what is the most important?
I've noticed that Fnatic likes to really ban out the bot lane.
Okay.
We just saw a Thresh play here from Vander. Could be very likely be the ban. Maybe an Alistar, maybe a Sivir. Something Fnatic have done time and time again. And it's unfair, because how do they then beat Reckless and Yellow Star if you don't even get your comfort picks?
Roccat will have to answer that
Maybe
question.
a Lucian.
If you look at the bans from the last time these teams met, it wasn't Alistar, targeted towards Vander. Kalista as well. Of course, Lulu, a little more focused towards Nukeduck. First champion is Jace, taken off the table. Nukeduck, in my opinion, has performed better on Varus than most other champions.
I agree.
We'll see if he wants to run it again.
If Fnatic allows him to run it,
They can't, because you said there's 2 support bans.
Okay, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Sivir, 1-for-1 so far. I don't think they necessarily have to ban the 2 supports, or Varus could be one. It's a ban I would use against Nukeduck. I think Roccat has really managed to play around him the last few weeks, and because we're now in a poke meta, mid lane has more power, especially in the mid game, transitioning towards the late game, unlike Varus and Jace, and it's something Roccat has used so effectively. I'm already gone, there's not even a support ban, unless Vander plays Ryze.
We come up in a few seconds' time to Deficio. Power picks, we should say. We knew that the theoretical AP cap of Ryze was higher, despite his tankiness being lower, with some of the Rod of Ages changes. Febiven's going to lose Victor. This is the champion that helped Fnatic beat Origin and maintain their undefeated streak at 14-0.
It's been a while since we have seen teams try and target Febiven in the pick and ban phase. He normally has a very big champion pool, but that was also when he played all the assassins like LeBlanc and Zed. They're obviously not in the meta anymore, so now teams Roccat are looking towards him. Rainova has received 0 bans. Fnatic adapting as well, saying we know Nukeduck is a fantastic Azir player. We don't want to risk him getting that one early on, so they ban it away. So a lot of mid lane focus, suddenly. Rainova can pick whatever he wants, even though Mr. Ral is in the feature. He's talking about how, just make sure Rainova is not on Gragas or Rek'Sai. That is a failure from Roccat. And by the way, in case you haven't noticed, Huni has been spamming Riven in solo queue. Obviously been a great pick over in Korea. You've seen it a lot of times, honestly. Fantastic snowball pick.
Into the Rumble especially.
Yeah, such a good matchup for the Riven. Early rotation, I don't think is necessary for him, but I wouldn't be surprised to see if he picked the Riven.
So Steve did first pick that Rumble, not only to steal it away from Huni, but also because we know just how powerful it is on 5-13 with the Leandri's changes. You can rush that, synergizes with the Rylai Scepter so well. Reckless going to opt for Corki, considering Kalista and Siva were both taken off the table. And Rainova's Rek'Sai once more.
Very standard first rotation for Fnatic. I think Rek'Sai is the #1 pick for Rainova because he uses the global so effectively and with the Tremor Sense as well to give so much more information to the team. Caitlyn though for Mr. Raleigh, so we are looking for a very, very strong laning phase for Roccat here. And one of the ways teams have beaten Fnatic in the early game is through standard lanes. Fnatic is a team that control minion waves so insanely well. They know exactly when to start objectives, when to rotate away from lanes and let them slow push and like put that pressure from you through the minions. So you need standard lanes and don't try and fool around in a lane swap against them. Which is also one of the reasons a Riven pick could be extremely strong for Huni, because you don't really want to one-on-one it. But if you feel like that's your only strategy versus Fnatic, what do you do?
Pick a different strategy.
But Riven,
For Fnatic, they've got to decide who they run in this middle lane.
that's a man who's going to play Riven, by the way.
Febiven's champion pool's not been tested this hard in summer. 4 seconds left on the clock. It is locked in. The Riven for Huni. And the Alistair for Yellowstar.
So when we have seen it very often in Korea, especially in this matchup, you go for an early Hex string or you go towards that brutalizer there, Hydra, and you just have fast push and you have so much burst in these one-on-one lanes, the Rumble simply cannot do anything. However, Riven is weak in a lane swap. Now the lane swaps are very quick though, and teams have figured out how to get farm on top laners by letting them stay in the lane, get the tower when the wave pushes back. Fnatic should be able to play around it. But Roccat really needs to decide. They got the Virus pick for Nukedog, that's key. It's very, very important. Also why the Rumble pick is such an important one as well for the AP top. But Roccat really looking to siege towers. They won't have the range problem we saw with the Lucian for Gambit last game. No, poke from the Virus, you got fantastic long range from the Caitlyn, and you got disengaged from Gragas and Janna. So it's a very, very strong siege composition for Roccat. But one thing that can ruin the day of a siege comp is a split-pushing monster like Riven, who will destroy your Rumble in the one-on-one, especially later on in the game, and then force you to always have to send someone back to defend that wave, but nobody can really hold him, and like you don't manage to establish your 5 versus 5 siege or your group siege. That's where Rumble always falls apart. Like, he's a team fighter, he's not a split pusher.
So we'll find out whether or not Huni can get far enough ahead to make that a reality for Fnatic.
Can I just should log in some wave clear right here? To hold off for the rest of the team, that's a perfect one right there. You got Corki TF as the wave clear. You have potential 1-3-1 setup if you get a lead in the early to mid game to start pushing in multiple lanes, where Roccat will have no answers in the side lanes to TF and to the Riven. At the same time, you get the wave clear needed, pick potential, you can assist the Riven. Fnatic,
Officio.
I like your composition.
But you also like Rockat's composition.
I also like the siege comp they're building. I think Caitlyn is always a risk. If she doesn't get to be a bully in the laning phase, I think she's way too weak in the mid game. But I can definitely see what Roccat is going for here. I just think as long as Huni is not 0-20 by minute 5, he will have such a big impact that it can become a big problem for Roccat.
More excitement. First time TF for Febiven. First time Riven in summer in Europe in the hands of Huni. And a first time Caitlyn for Mr. Rolls.
Not too exciting. It's
That was a little less
Yeah,
exciting.
it's Caitlyn. Like,
But we need to see whether or not Caitlyn and Janna can put the pressure Roccat need in this game. Fnatic are looking to go 15-0, undefeated after 8 weeks of games.
Roccat is looking to make us believe again. And then maybe disappoint us tomorrow, which is what they've been doing all split long. Great game, bad game. Great game, bad game. They need a great game to beat Fnatic, that's for sure.
Hashtag ROC win if you think they will have that great game, or hashtag FNC win. Will Fnatic remain undefeated in the summer splits with Riven in the hands of Huni?
So, nobody cares about Riven. Twisted Fate, however, into poke compositions is so nice.
It definitely is, Deficio. We see the teams leaving their bases, most likely for this defensive start. And let's actually go back to last week and hear from Rainover talking about Fnatic's early game.
Like usually, if you want to get early ahead, you should take some risk. There must be some risk, but we don't really want to take risk to get ahead. We try to fight when our power spike is. So like if we don't really find a reason to fight when we have no power spike, so I think it's because of like enemy take some risk, but sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't work.
So this is obviously Rainover talking about how, or one of the reasons Fnatic have been falling behind in some of the games we've been watching lately, at least how they don't take any risk in the early game, meaning they allow the other team to be proactive on the map, and that can often backfire for Fnatic, but they trust in their late game so much and timing these power spikes to then get back in the game. And yes, they have managed to pull it back, but it's not the style we used to see from Fnatic. It used to be very focused on making early plays, having this medium risk, high reward style. That's what they used at MSI. This composition for Fnatic is going back to that style. There is a risk involved when you run a Riven top lane. So they're going back, abandon what has been not the strongest for Fnatic the last few weeks. Enough to win, but now we're going back to the Fnatic style we know. Huni on a carry that can really snowball out of control. Twisted Fate pick against poke comps, I said it before, I really like it. You can create picks, you have wave there, you have split pushing, and that is all you need to try and shut down these poke compositions, because they want a 5-on-5 sit and shoot you in the face. You won't let that happen in a 1-3-1 setup.
It's been such a long time since these two teams have faced off against one another as well. Week 2 was the matchup. Despite the gold being pretty even, went relatively late game, you can see that 3 Barons for Fnatic. And Nukeduck actually played a mid lane Irelia that particular match.
Yeah, and it was a game where Roccat fell really far behind. And then Fnatic overextended in a few fights around Baron, funny enough, which allowed Roccat to get back in the game. But they still kept it cool on Fnatic's side. It's something they talk a lot about, how they're getting mentally very strong. They can fall behind, they can keep it cool, they trust in Yellowstar's shot calling, and that's enough to pull them back. And then the coordination in these late game team fights is just spot on for Fnatic, and that's what they used against Roccat to secure that win. They're looking to do the same obviously here.
And we did see Roccat are the ones that started this lane swap. Sent their duo up top.
Lane swap against the Riven.
Has been holding hands with Rainover, and Jankos has Gragas this split. 1-2 lost 2. Slightly higher kill participation. Jankos was also one of those junglers who's continuing to impress and continuing to grow in Summer, despite having a shaky spring and a shaky start beginning of the split.
So we're going to see a 4v0 from Roccat, because they've already cleared most of their own jungle, and Fnatic managed to steal away front of their own red buff up on the top side, even though the dual lane from Roccat was there. But Fnatic is going to, the standard one we have seen now, 3 members pushing with the top laner. That's the key thing. You're going to notice how Huni is going to stay in the bottom lane once the tower goes down. They're going to give him the wave. He's going to bounce it back towards himself. Look how they give him full gold as well from the tower, because he's the key member here to get rolling. So even though it's a swap, he only gets denied in the start, and Fnatic can then even go in and take a dragon for themselves. So now Huni is going to look to shove this wave back to himself. Roccat sacrificing Steve a little bit to send him down to this bottom lane. Normally you would see Rallis and Vander go down here and shove out the wave. Really risky for Rumble to go. Oh, you can see they're actually coming after, so they're sending him, he's scouting.
Scouting ahead with that teleport available. Okay, Dragon picked up by Fnatic. Early advantage in CS and XP for Huni, as is customary. Roccat fanned there in the... Hang on, that's double dipping. You can't have a Roccat face tattoo and a Fnatic hoodie on. That's cheating. But nevertheless, someone will win.
You're going to be happy no matter what happens.
Okay, maybe it's intelligent. It's intelligent fandom.
Roccat right now, what are they doing with Steve? He should have been sitting top lane, had the wave bounce back. Look at how many minions up there are building up from Fnatic. All of that could have gone into the pocket of Steve. Instead, they swapped them, but they're fast pushing with Steve as well, so he's not getting a lot of XP, he's not getting a lot of farm. Instead, they're using him to try and take down 2 very quick outer turrets. They might be looking for a very early group around Nukeduck as well in this Varus. But Steve just lost so much potential farm in the top lane.
So what is this going to mean in the bigger picture? Fnatic
It means he's going to die even harder if he wants to 1v1 the Riven.
All right, what is Rockat's next move? They've almost fully committed to this. Once again, Steve is not the man getting the XP, is not the man getting the tower gold. Continues to fall further behind Huni. Let's see what Yellowstar and Reckless do once this tower goes down. Will they donate tower number 2 to Huni? It looks like that might be the case.
Yeah,
Michio.
I mean, they can do the same again. So Fnatic is playing around the top laner. Roccat is playing around the AD carry at this point. It's Mr. Rallis who's finishing the towers. He's the guy that's trying to smack gold into and say, like, you need to get to your BF sword really, really fast so we can start grouping with you. But it does mean that Steve is not going to be able to show his face one-on-one against Huni. He's going to have to sit far back. You can see once again the wave is here. Huni's going to pick it up. Already a difference in farm. Obviously, Rumble is a champion that requires less gold to be impactful. However, I feel like with this new patch, where Rylai's and Leandris are so strong, investing gold into your Rumble is honestly worth it, because if he hits that 2-item spike, that's so powerful on him right now. But that's going to be very delayed with the way Roccat has played this lane swap. You can see Reino was staying around. If Steve shows, we'll just go gank him.
Flash is available for Huni. May see some toying. Steve is going to kill the tower off, and Never's going to recall. Jankos was nearby if anything were to break out. Now the 2 towers are down, both top and bottom. We'll catch a brief glimpse of Febiven and Nukeduck. We've not talked about them at all yet, Deficio. Febiven's already backed and picked up those Ionian Boots of Lucidity. If there was ever more of a sign that he wanted to help push those side lanes, maybe Huni's lane, many times over.
Yeah.
That might be it. And of course, Nukeduck with your traditional tier into longswords.
2 options then for Febiven. Either he goes Morel Normicon second, he maxes out cooldown reduction, and he just becomes such a strong wave clear machine, and then also the lower cooldown on ulti. Or he can go in for Lichbane as his first major item, and then he has more tower pushing potential in that sense if he's sitting in that 1-3-1 setup anyway. Fnatic, what they're looking to do later is swap Reckless and Yellowstar into the mid lane, because that enables Yellowstar to start roaming with Rainover, and Alistar is such a strong champion again at setting up tower dives. So if you have a Riven pushing in one lane, a TF in the other one, those lanes are going to be pushed in very easily. And then Alistar comes in with the Rek'Sai, and you just pick whatever lane you want to dive. And there's so little counterplay for Roccat unless they can start grouping with the poke comps. I wonder if that was the strategy. Snowball Caitlyn into a BF sword, group up with the Varus, and then don't allow Fnatic to split push.
It didn't work
I don't
out.
really agree with it at all, though, because Huni's just so far ahead.
Well, Mr. Rolls has already backed earlier, picked up that pickaxe. So we weren't rushing for that one. We're getting closer to 10 minutes on the clock in this lane swap. In Fnatic's 4 lane swaps that they've played, they've averaged 1.2 thousand gold in the lead. For Roccat, in the 6 lane swaps, they've actually averaged 300 gold down. So we're looking closer to the averages of Roccat. Fnatic not made any plays necessarily, other than pushing those waves out and making sure Huni has got a level advantage, 6-5. He's got a CS advantage, 30 more CS.
And this is what we're going to do.
Steve is in trouble. Gold card connects. The knockup comes out. Rainover's first blood.
I mean, you don't give Steve any farm. You might get Yellowstar, though.
Yellowstar gets caught out. Pulverize comes down, but where is the damage? Forced to flash away. We did see Reckless being shielded by the tower. So Roccat gave up first blood on the player that they have surrendered for damage on 2 towers. And Fnatic may even get that inner turret.
I see what Nukeduck is doing, though. Trading with Febiven.
Well, seems to be winning that trade quite heavily, but did need to use the Chain of Corruption. Ace in the hole!
Almost, but nice setup. Very greedy pathing from Febiven. Just walked through his lane into Nukeduck. Gets poked down, dies for it. This is what Roccat wanted to do. Early outer turrets down so they could start rotating to mid lane with Rylais. He should have that BF sword once he goes back to base with tower going down, the kill as well. That is what they were looking for. Can Roccat then continue grouping and start pushing at tier 2 towers? Or will Huni be such a big problem they always have to worry about? Like, look at Febiven here. Just casually walking back to his timing like, oh, hey, Nukeduck, you're there. Oh, I'm getting chunked down. And Rylais just walks in and is like, oh, the flash is so close. Just not enough.
Kill secured. That means Mr. Rolls has got boots and a BF sword. Roccat and Fnatic are even in towers, but Fnatic have that extra dragon and 1,000 gold thanks to some CS that's been picked up. We do see early home guards and Sheen picked up for Febiven, as well as distortion boots for Huni. So TP flash plays.
Huni doesn't even need to go for any early resistance. He knows he's just that far ahead in the lane. So early penetration, obviously. Cooldown reduction, fantastic on the Riven. And we know what Fnatic is going to do. 1-3-1, collapsing with TP and with the Twisted Fate. 5 versus 5, but you just get into the backline so quickly. Vander is going to have to play a perfect game if he wants to protect Rylais and Nukeduck.
Wow. Crepo showed me a perfect Thresh setup. Turning around a teleport gank. Not going to have the same tools in Janna, but similar levels of disruption. Dragon number 2 has been started at 11.5 minutes. Roccat are nearby, and Steve has teleport, plus a ward in the pit. Teleport's being channeled in the river, but it'll be too late for the Dragon. Roccat are now grouped up. Chain of Corruption from Nuke, not even going to be fired. Equalizer does, and Fnatic get away clean. Little bit awkward.
Yeah, strange from Roccat. If they wanted to fight for that one, they had so much time to set up that TP play from Steve and move in, but Nuke was also on the other side of the Dragon, and it's very key that Roccat does not move away from Vanda. Again, he's your mom. He's the guy who's going to save you from the bullies that are Fnatic. If you stand far away from him, or her in that case, you're going to die. So, somewhat weird setup from Roccat. 2 Dragons now for Fnatic, 12 minutes in because they got the 1 lane swap. So that's going to be very key going towards the 5 Dragons very early on. Roccat though, we're back. We want to push. We want to poke. We want to make sure we do it while Huni is still stuck with a wave at his own tier 2 tower, so we have so much time to build it up.
Okay, Deficio. You can see the gold values. 1,200 advantage for Huni with his 40 CS lead, but for all of the CS Huni has ahead, Reckless is in fact behind. Mr. Riles was the one that was given that priority early on. And it's on a Caitlyn, so that mid-game power drop will somewhat be balanced by the Trinity Force Spike.
Right.
But
it still takes so long for Caitlyn to have impact on the game, unless she can continue to roll down these tier 2 towers, which has not been the case already for them, compared to what a Riven is going to do in the mid-game with the early farm she's been giving. So Fnatic obviously have their priorities correct here, saying we need Huni to have a great game, but Roccat was like, Steve, Steve, whatever, you can just get sacrificed. We're going to play around Mr. Rales. And that is such a risky strategy for them, because there's just nobody who can stop him. And Roccat,
a lot of hype built up for this Riven. We've not seen him find a fight yet.
They're running away from him.
Yet. Huni's still farming up that top lane. We saw him involved in one of those tower dives. Got the assist onto Steve. The sacrificial rumble, or yordle, if you will. The Mother Vanda is protecting Roccat in the jungle as they continue to clear the wards out. And Roccat, they're playing this grouping game. However, the key component of the group, Mr. Riles, is Caitlyn. Not there.
Not there, but Huni also is freezing the top wave. So Fnatic not looking to set up any pressure on the map at all. That has allowed Roccat to move into the jungle and establish this vision here. If there's a guy freezing, you know he's stuck in that lane. So that's a guy less you have to worry about. And Roccat used it well. Have to obviously remember, as you just said here, Rales with his Infinity Edge is not nearby. So if a fight breaks out, Fnatic's not really going to miss Reckless too much. He's level 7. Doesn't have a Trinity Force yet. Should be completed very soon though. But this game is definitely not about him.
No.
Even though that build is comes earlier around him, that's a difference now.
And that's Fnatic's prerogative, really, when they want to play. They can build around Febiven to carry. They can build around Huni to carry. They can build around Reckless to carry. And we've seen all of those respective styles of team compositions.
This is an MSI comp. Massive carry for Huni that can snowball out of control. Cassiopeia in one. Now it's a Riven. Reckless, or the 80 carry on cleanup duty and wave clear.
I need to ask our stats guys to track Steve's CS numbers. 45 at 15. Will Fnatic shut Steve down as hard as they shut Oduwamne down a few weeks ago? When Fnatic want to single out a champion, they can. And of course Roccat helped that cause, because they put Steve in the disadvantageous positions.
Fnatic needs to be careful though, they don't invest too many members on the lane where Huni is pushing. They just walked in because they had pushed up to take the blue buff. But you have to respect the fact that Roccat is looking to group on your towers. And now, this is giving so much damage on it because Fnatic went for that blue buff. That's something they have to respect. Febiven and Reckless need to be ready to clear out the waves. They cannot go aggressive unless they get a kill, and Roccat is not in position to take anything.
Febiven took one of those aces in the holes early and is not enough of a bro to take it for Reckless this time. Roccat continued to group up, and the poke from Nuke is being equalized by the wave clear from Twisted Fate Fnatic. Febiven, rather.
So nice to hear.
Yeah, sorry.
Your wave clear.
And Fnatic hold on to their inner turret. So this tier 2 pressure has stalled out for Roccat. They are still 1,600 gold, and Steve's going to need all the bravery shields he can get He's 70 CS down. Still farming towards that needlessly large rod, which is cheaper, but not cheap enough.
That is another good thing for Rumble, though. In the Hourglass, obviously, when you build Hourglass, it's for the active of it. It's not for the AP, which is why having it cost less is an upgrade for a lot of champions. And that's always how I look at these new AP changes. Is do we build the item for the AP? Then it's annoying that it costs more. Oh, sorry. Then it's. I mean, I guess you're happy then it gives more AP, but it's a bit annoying anyway in that sense. But if you build an item for the active, it's great it costs less. Like take Void Staff as an example. Why do you build Void Staff? Magic penetration. So it costs more, but it gives more AP. Well, who cares? I want it for magic penetration, so I want it to cost less. So that's annoying, that's a nerf. This case, Hourglass, to me, that's a buff, especially for Rumble.
Really disappointed teacher today. 513's made Deficio angry.
I really like the patch. I mean, I'm reading it, I was like, oh boy, that's done a lot of prep. For the next
huge amount has changed. We're seeing very similar things, at least for the first week the patch has been out. Although, Challenger team did run Zyra mid. We'll talk about that if we ever see an LCS. For now, Fnatic on the Dragon. Roccat was slow to react last time. They're going to be slow to react this time. Maybe 2,000. Piercing arrow's going to come out. Rainover, not going to get it. Roccat snipe away the Dragon.
Nice coordinated snipe. I think both Braless and Nukedog fighting at the same time. Rainover getting a taste of his own medicine. He stole it with an Olaf axe. And now Nukedog snipes it away from Fnatic. But you could see how Roccat didn't want to commit to the fight because there were two guys on the flank, Febiven and Huni. So I had to just try and rely on the snipe. And that was so important. 3 dragons to 0 at 18 minutes would have been
catastrophic.
Terrible. Disgustingly bad.
But it's not
annoying,
the case.
But that is not the case. Because of the snipe. Rex also managed to
Destiny has been used. Steve's been gold carded. Huni's stunned him. Valor wind slash. Not even going to be needed.
I just want people to notice when Febiven is using his ulti. It's not just when Steve shows himself in the top lane. That is obviously step 1. Step 2 is where are the minion waves when he's using it? Bot lane was pushed up by Reckless. Mid lane has been pushed up by Febiven himself, so Roccat was stuck near their own towers, which means they couldn't respond and take a tower on the other side of the map after the play happened. So he's timing the minion waves really well with when can Roccat make a play, so when can I make a play. Also means that Steve can never show himself if the rest of his team is standing too far back on the map. He can only show himself if they are already pushing up near a tower, so Febiven cannot leave. Might even be lying to you, because even if he shows himself against Huni, he's gonna die. So Febiven.
100 CS is the difference for Huni as we're getting closer to 20 minutes. Febiven, I'm sure we'll get a replay of that.
Nukedog, it's been a bit of a bully.
So here's the replay.
Q ulti, yeah, beautiful.
Well, this is what we said in Picks and Bans. Nukedog's Varus. Oh! Nobody saw that, Feb. Except everyone saw that.
Yes. Slowed down as well. Well, I mean, you don't need that flash. You have an ulti anyway. I like Nukedog though on Varus. He has impact in the mid game. You land a Q, followed by ulti, then you get another Q because your cooldown is so low. That's a very good, quick combo you can use. Then you also force them to flash into the wall.
Okay, so, Deficio. Kill for Nukedog. That's 2-2 with Fnatic. We've crested 20 minutes. At 20 minutes, Steve had around 72, 76 CS. It's the second lowest against Fnatic of the split. As this is the team fight. Twisted Fate is up. Febiven is looking for the kill. Huni's gonna Valor forward. Wind slash plus one more wildcard. Huni, the shield saves his life.
Once again, look at the minimap. Where is Roccat? They're standing super far back. They're standing at their own tower in the mid lane. So Fnatic knows there's 0 response. Febiven uses ulti, can see is there anyone near the bottom lane. No, Steve is on his own. Big surprise, Roccat sacrificed him all game long. And you just pop down, you kill him. Again, if Roccat cannot be proactive on the map, and that's why I disagreed so much with letting Huni get such a big advantage and just sacrificing your own top laner, Roccat can never group them. Whenever Steve dies, Roccat can't group. If they're not in a position before he dies to take a tower, they're not going to gain anything.
And with those 2 kills that Fnatic have picked up, they are now 4,000 gold ahead of Roccat, despite the fact Steve has picked up that Zhonya's Hourglass. to finish the point. He had the second lowest CS at 20 minutes, all split long. That's of any top laner. Partially because of Fnatic, partially because of Rocket's team decisions. What it does mean is that Nukeduck was able to pick up a CS advantage. All of the CS that Mr. Ralls had over Reckless has now been evened out, and it's Fnatic's group that secures another tower.
Just very well played around Huni and FlickR together. Remember, this is not about Reckless. He's just sitting here farming, wave clearing, taking down towers. That's his job. Keep feeding Huni. That is the mission. And now Mr. Rallis.
Gonna flash away, pulverize up, that's gonna interrupt the net. Reckless is looking for the kill as Ralls gets headbutted towards the wall. The Mother Vanda is not gonna be able to save Mr. Ralls' life. Will keep himself up. While that was going on, Steve got dropped underneath the tower. Here comes Jankos, a new challenger appears and it's super effective. Nukeduck gets the kill. Wind Slash is thrown across by Huni for the damage and nothing else. Tower defended, 1 for 2.
Again though, Fnatic with control of the map. They're the ones setting up the dives, using the Alistar this time. Rallis was hoping for a headbutt from Yellowstar. That's why he could try and flash that one and get out of range then of the Q. But obviously Yellowstar just waiting. Easy kill for him. Let's see it again. You can notice how Rallis, like his only hope of surviving here is trying to flash a potential headbutt. Not gonna happen. Yellowstar saves it. They get the kill on Rallis. Vander tries to save him, but two guys already behind him. Steve ports in and poor guy instantly dies. Roccat gets 1 kill in return, but it's the same again. Fnatic, they have the skirmish, they have the global, they're using it, they have the stronger one-on-ones, 2v2s. Roccat has the poke, but are never able to group and use it.
I see both of the coaches backstage, Daylor and Yamato Cannon, watching intently.
Serious faces.
Daylor, it's a matter of continuing the win streak and improving upon the fantastic foundations Fnatic have built. And for Roccat, now, it's pulling a Fnatic. Can they play from behind? Can they bounce back from a 5,000 gold deficit? The 4th dragon of the game has just spawned. And once again, Fnatic are here on point. Will Roccat be able to snipe it a second time? Not so confident.
We're gonna have to be so careful when they move in here. They might just want to try and trade it for a tower, or because look at Huni's position. If he moves in and gets a flank, the 2 carries are gonna die, but
oh
I mean, I guess you can just steal it again.
Cyanide will be rolling in his grave because he once called Rainover out for stealing. Rainover was the one that was securing objectives, whether his or his opponents. And now Rainover's been unable as Jankos and Nukeduck have stolen away 2 dragons. But it does feel like there's small victories. Look at that gold difference. The 5,000 gold if Fnatic are ahead, 4,000 of it is because of Steve versus Huni.
Talked about it in the early game.
We talked about it a lot.
We did. So that's why we don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
Remove that gold. Instead, Fnatic. Twice now, dragon gets stolen. Could have had 4 dragons at 24 minutes. Do wonder if instead of taking that risk of Roccat stealing it, maybe they should be looking, instead of using Huni, to go in for a flank in these fights here. But obviously Fnatic is saying we don't need to 5-on-5 when we can just keep using our split push advantage. But 2 dragons to Roccat, they can prove super important. Steve, not even the Crooks is his friend in this game. I don't think they're ever friends with anyone. We kill them all the time. But point is, everyone wants to kill Steve.
Well, they're nobody's enemy until you punch them in the face. Huni, 230 CS. Last Whisper, Brutalizer, as well as the Tiamat. Ravenous Hydra completed. Upgraded trinkets for 3 of 5 Fnatic members. And we just constantly see Fnatic pushing out the waves. Now, they've dived Steve for what I'm going to say are easy kills. But for Fnatic, they also don't have the greatest of siege themselves. Using Huni to split push, let's see how they can crack open the bases.
Well, you can see the position for Roccat right now on the map. That allows FlickR to go bot lane again if he wants to and kill Steve again and take the tower. Seeing as Roccat is not in a position to make any plays. For Roccat, this group of 4 members need to shove up the top lane. That's what Rallis is trying to do. And then try and group the mid lane and start pushing it up. Force FlickR to sit in a wave clear at a tier 2 tower. That's one of the ways you can maybe start landing some poke, but you still gotta respect the potential flank from Huni. You have no control over the map. There's so many ways you can TP in, or you can just start the fight like this.
Febiven's coming in. We see the gold quarter. Nuke Duck. The Mother Vander's not going to save the lives of Roccat again. Reckless has got a kill. A 3-man stun from the key strike. That's a huge team fight for Fnatic. Double kill for Huni. Double kill for Reckless. And they're going to peel for Baron.
Fnatic has been getting everything. We just mentioned how if you start grouping, Huni can flank because Roccat obviously have so little control over the map. What happens? Fnatic start the fight. Huni walks in. This is what I wanted them to do around Dragon instead of risking getting stolen, but I take it. This is fine. Such a good team fight for Fnatic. And I mean, yeah, Vander, you have a Monsoon, but that's not enough against so much CC coming in from Fnatic. Look at the fight here. First Fabian comes in. Vander tries to disengage everything to save Nuke Dog. Mr. Rylis is not even close. He's running from the blue buff at this point. He's trying to shove out the wave.
Oh!
3-man stun. Beautiful play. Didn't even have to use his teleport, so he now has that advantage as well.
That was exceptional.
I love watching Fnatic play when they have styles like this. When they play carries like this for Huni and play around him so well.
And the thing that's exceptional about this game, Fnatic committed all of their time and decisions into getting Huni ahead. And Roccat committed their time and resources in the early game into getting Mr. Rawls ahead.
Yeah, and he's still sitting on just 2 items.
And now Mr. Rawls is even with Reckless in CS, but behind in global objectives.
To be fair as well for Rawls, this is not about him as a player. This is more what Roccat
Team
would do as
decision.
a team.
Yes, team decision, strategy. And Fnatic played it out perfectly. They've got Baron empowered minions. Look how far Steve is from Huni, showing full respect to that Riven. And this is going to allow Fnatic with those Baron empowered minions, with the Lich Bane and the Trinity Force, to kill towers once they get to them.
3 lanes pushing in. Buffed up minions everywhere. Decent wave clear from Roccat though, with the Varus, with the Caitlyn as well. But it's not even about that for them at this point. It's more the fact that Fnatic will keep pushing in these waves here. They will keep looking for opportunities. And it's just a matter of time before Fabian pops his ulti and kills Steve again.
Another tower secured for Fnatic. Huni. Level 17 to level 13. Let that sink in for a second.
Okay.
160 CS lead. I don't even think the help of Nuke Duck will be able to turn the tides in Rockat's favor. Waves being pushed in here by the wave clear from Febvin. Reckless is Corki doing work in the top lane, and then just... my guess is just waiting for a mistake.
They're slowly getting damage on the towers. That's one thing for Fnatic. Another thing is they're waiting for Roccat to maybe send 4 members to the top lane and then just go kill Steve instantly. Or they're waiting for Roccat to send multiple members down to stop Huni and then just go up to the top side and make a play. They're waiting for Roccat to make the move first. Otherwise, look at the bot lane tower, down to 50%, slowly but surely poking it down. Notice as well how it's Febiven sitting and controlling the mid lane. So he can very easily move between the lanes. Reckless is just on the other side lane, trying to shove it in over and over. So Reckless is running without a support, but there's so little distance between them and also the TF ulti, so it's more than fine.
Jungle camps secured on the way out. Baron has now timed.
This could have been Dragon number 5, by the way. Fnatic's gonna take.
Right, thanks to the stealing abilities of Team Rockat's Jankos. It allowed Roccat to at least prepare to fight another day. And they're this far behind. They might need to surrender now, or Fnatic will just take off at the speed of light.
Vander, Jankos, Nuke Duck.
Unfortunately for Roccat, it's fallen apart as the game has progressed, because they were only a few thousand gold down. And then they stole some dragons. But unfortunately, it was the inner turrets. Fisher, you called it at the 3rd minute. If Mr. Oz does not get inner turrets with Caitlyn, that mid-game power trough will be too great for Roccat to overcome, and it's exactly what's happened. Fnatic have played their team composition and their macro level strategy exquisitely.
We've seen one of the problems for Roccat all split long is whenever Roccat has to be the proactive team, they tend to struggle quite a lot making the aggressive plays. They like to more react to what you're doing, but there's no reaction to make to a Twisted Fate teleporting in with the Riven. Like, there's nothing you are going to do at that point, because even if you're setting up a trap, hello, Twisted Fate ulti is gonna spot you anyway, and they're just gonna be like, okay, we're not gonna go for it, and step away. Bottom tower going down now, slow and steady.
Nobody can contest Huni. You see that Valor shield with his Bloodthirster shield. So difficult to hurt Huni at this point, and then he's just gonna sustain with all of the lifesteal. Steve, you gotta be very careful, my friend. Giant's Belt plus Hourglass. Look at this. Febiven pushing top lane as the rest of Fnatic now have an opening into the base. Very clear they want to get supers to help out this continued siege. That's a flash forward from Yellowstar. He's gone to the headbutt, pulverized. Destiny is being channeled from Febiven, and Steve is going golden in the middle of the fight. Febiven's been able to stay alive for a few seconds before they've traded lives, 1 for 1. Inhibitors down, and Fnatic look like they'll be happy to escape. Chain of Corruptions onto Huni. He will get focused down. 2 for 1 at the cost of an inhibitor.
Very nice ulti from Nukedog here. Roccat just managed to get away from Huni, then lock him down as well. Fnatic diving in while paying attention to the inhibitor at the same time. Got their inhibitor down at least. While the lost fight. That's the key thing for them. Open up the base. You got super minions coming. Baron is up in a minute's time. Steve is going to be the guy defending. So look at this here. Fnatic, what they want to do is obviously take the fight, force Roccat away. Worst case, you just take inhibitor. But nice ulti from Vandal to split up everything. Jankos follow in as well, knocking Febiven into the tower. Huni just managed to use his ulti for anything, really. So it's a good fight for Roccat. And notice, Huni's trying to go back in. The reaction from Roccat, locking him down, gets another kill for themselves. Too little, most likely too late, though.
Minions and 14,000 gold. QSS now secured for Huni as well to shake off that chain of corruption. And just such a difficult place to be. There's 30 seconds on the clock before Baron comes up. And even though Steve has teleport, they would really have to surprise Fnatic. They wanted to challenge for this next Baron. You can see Huni going to peel away to this middle lane, using those broken wings to clear some distance and finish the wave with the FLICKR. Deficio. For Roccat, it's now hoping Fnatic make a mistake. For Fnatic, play safe for Baron and then push down top.
Yeah.
Let supers do the work. Let the Baron of our minions help, and on track for another sort of average game length victory.
It's a joy to shot caller when you are almost 15,000 gold ahead of the other team. Because there are just barely any wrong calls to make. You are Fnatic, so push down this top wave. You have the buffed up minions. Twisted Fate, you cannot leave him alone. He's going to destroy your tower. He has a Lich Bane, Death Cap, everything. So Roccat needs to create a pick somehow on Fnatic. That is the only way for them back in the game. I'm looking at Nukedog. He's going to be the guy to do it. Snipe a target, land the ulti.
Well,
but I mean,
Huni's got one tower. Fnatic got the next. Top inhibitors being focused by Huni. Roccat have made no decision. Barrel's going to go and actually knock Fnatic to safety. Steve's going to try burn down Rainover, but Huni should be able to get that top inhibitor any second now. It's dropped, as we said. Fnatic take another inhibitor. Super Mini is now on the bottom lane. Look at that shield from Huni when he uses his E. Going to take a couple of autos from Mr. Rolls.
as well.
BT shield, Valor shield, all the shields. Chain of Corruption goes out. It does connect on Febiven. He's going to be forced to use the Hourglass. Now, Jankos has already used his explosive cast. 2 very important ultimates used. Fnatic are even going to use the Empowered Recalls and their Destiny to get back and continue the siege. It's just about running interference.
Got all the super minions coming. Febiven is going to rejoin as well. Roccat doing the best they can to hold off, but Fnatic, they're just playing it safe right now. They want to make sure this is going to be the push.
Looks to be the case. Roccat Super's coming in. There's the gate. Febiven, he's joining the fight. Monsoon's up for Vanda as a little form of disengage, but that is it. Gold card will take a tower out. Piercing arrow not going to connect, nor will the Fat Man body slam. For a slow and steady finish, Fnatic waiting for the supers to get in. PvE almost. Roccat may as well not be involved.
He got the
Yellowstar
minions.
misses the engage. Hooney's looking for more. He gets cast underneath the laser. Roccat get a kill, but they will lose their Nexus. Fnatic remain undefeated at 15-0.
Just a very clear game plan for Fnatic coming into the game. You're running a poke composition. We need wave clear with our last pick. That's going to be a Twisted Fate because that can also help snowball our Riven even harder, which was the whole strategy. We saw the lane swap. People will go back and rewatch it. Notice how Yellowstar and Reckless are always leaving the tower just when it's about to go down. Give the full amount of gold to Huni, where Roccat was the complete opposite. It was Steve leaving, give it over to Mr. Rallis. Steve lost the entire wave top. He gained nothing. He got 162 CS. That is 3 more than Reinover managed to get in this game here. Huni, 359. 2 items completed for Steve. Huni almost full build. Such a big difference in priority. Obviously, you could see what Roccat were trying to do, saying, we know the Rumble is not going to hold him. He's only in a one-on-one, so we're just going to try and build around the 280 carries and get this early group going. But then they didn't control the minion waves like Fnatic did, and we just saw pick after pick after pick. And then when you have a Pokemon falling behind like that, there's nothing you can do.
Such a difficult game for Roccat, and for Fnatic, truthfully, they didn't even need the power of Riven. Just a big sign that said beware. You know, like when you walk past somebody's house, you see beware of dog.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. Beware of Huni's Riven. They just waved that around, and Roccat like, nope.
I feel like Steve walked up there a few times anyway.
Won't get involved. Okay.
I'm just going to see what happens.
And exceptional leadership, decision-making, a phrase that Yamato Cannon was talking about from the analyst desk, saying, you know, you can't necessarily call shot calling. I give that. That's fair. Despite the fact we hear from all the players, Yellowstar's a big voice in the shot calling. The decision-making as a team, with their picks and bans, with their team composition, and then how they played around it, is what is the most impressive about this.
Yeah, for me, that's again, synergy and like communication and so on is more than just one guy saying, go here, do that. It's about one guy saying, we need to push bot lane, and then all 5 members knowing, okay, what should I do now? I need to then recall first, then go there. I need to shove up my wave. Know it, so you don't have to explain everything, because you cannot guide every single player. And all Fnatic members are on the same page. And it's just beautiful to watch.
It is beautiful to watch. 15-0, going to head to Pulse on stage for a man to blame for more Riven in solo queue.
Thank you, Quickshot. I'm joined here by Huni, the player of Riven from Fnatic after his victory there. Now, Huni, I need to ask you about the Riven. We haven't seen it in a very long time. What made you pick it today?
I was trying to find a Rumble counter, because Rumble is really good with this meta. So I had to find out Rumble can be Rumble counter. So that's why I was playing a lot of solo queue or just Scream as well. So I can use on LCS today.
Well, it looked very good. Now, moving forwards to the playoffs, you've played all the teams now. Who do you think will be your hardest competition when you go into playoffs?
I think Gambit is gonna be pretty hard, because they really improve a lot compared to beginning summer split. So I'm really a bit worried. But if we just do mistake in early game or even middle game, then we will be really easy to get a winner.
All right, Huni. So last time I spoke to you, you told me I just need to play 1,000 games as Rumble to be good. Well, I did that and I played it on Riven, but I'm still bronze. What do I need to do now?
With Riven.
With Riven.
I don't know. Riven is pretty hard to jump as well, so you have to first you have to practice about Q and auto can cancel really fast, and just play all the time. And I don't know. And then when you have flash, and then you just try to make a play or just outplay, so then you will be improve a lot.
Okay, I've just got to outplay the enemy. Thank you very much, Huni. Thank you for the interview, and we're going to throw it over to the analyst desk to close out the day.
I wrote it all down. Gonna own with
Just outplay them, man.
Yes, outplay whoever you're opposed to. Anyway, something else that I picked up on that Huni said in an interview was quite interesting to me. That he said Gambit. He was fearing them in terms of competition. Quite interesting development just in general for him to say that.
Yeah, honestly, Gambit looked
better today, and they've constantly been progressing, and that's something we haven't really seen of other teams that are around Fnatic right now, because H2K, yeah, today they look good, but they have been a little shaky. Origin dropped the ball against Gambit, so Gambit's on the rise, and it's always tricky whenever you start counting out Gambit in these playoff runs. We've done it before. They come back to bite you.
We have counted them out before, but speaking of progression, I want to talk about the Fnatic progression from last week to this week. They come into this game with such a good game plan. They play it very patiently. The game was slow because of Fnatic's decision making. And honestly, if they can perform like that all the way through playoffs, this is going to be a very tough Fnatic to stop.
This is just a scary thing about Fnatic, is they have so many different playstyles they can use. They have different carries. They can either build around Reckless and have one of these protect 80 carry compositions. They can change it up completely. This was back to the MSI style, the Fnatic we saw in spring, where it is not high risk, but there's some risk involved in the early game. You got to snowball certain picks to make the comp really work, and they did it, and they executed so perfectly. I mean, you just got to worry about almost every single strategy they have.
At the same time, though, I want to see European teams start to challenge Fnatic on a strategic level. This game as well, Roccat, they went toe-to-toe up until the point that massive stack wave was up there in the top lane, and Roccat, they could have used that to push a second-tier tower on the bot lane and transition, and you saw the strength of Varus. Instead, they bounced the wave, and I really feel like there's no team so far that has been even close to Fnatic on a strategic level, and then in addition to that, they get outplayed in terms of individual mechanics. So I want to wait and see if Fnatic make it to Worlds. Can they get away with this very slow early to mid game, and obviously good plays, but can they get away against better teams that actually try to counter that, see what's coming and make the move? Because there are counters to Fnatic's early game and mid game so far, just teams aren't quite seeing them in the game, and it is obviously very easy from here, but it's a lot harder when you're on the stage.
Yeah, and that's why Fnatic is just the best right now, 15-0, and that's half of Week 8 behind us already. Each team only has 3 games left to play this summer. We're going to take a look at the standings, as said already. Fnatic, of course, still topping those tables. 3 games to go for a perfect split for them. And then Origin, H2K that are in the battle for second. And very interesting to me, that Gambit Gaming, Giants Gaming, Unicorns of Love, middle of the table. That's a very interesting evolution. And Giants and Unicorns, honestly, falling apart today.
Yeah, it's very clear that Gambit, looking at those teams today, were the best one. Unicorns of Love, obviously new jungler. There's probably a few things they got to work out, but that was not a good performance. They made so many individual mistakes, and also just as a team, like 2v4 team fights around dragons and so on. It was a very weird game for Unicorns, but we have seen that before, and they still managed to bounce back. But Gambit, clearly, of these teams, looking at today, were the strongest team.
Also looking at Unicorns draft, this isn't the first time they've played triple lanes that get pushed in and then have a jungler invade there.
Saw the same from Giants.
Say the same from Giants too often, and I really want to see teams stop doing this, because yes, your composition may look very pretty on paper in mid game. Oh, if we get there, beautiful, we'll win. But you have to get to the early game, and getting pushed in every lane against the top tier jungler like Svenskern in that style makes things very hard.
Yeah, we'll see what those teams go with tomorrow. Of course, they have a lot to play with. 5-13 was today, and we were keeping an eye on what are we going to see. You know, what's going to happen with the AP items. We didn't see that much.
It was all one big distraction. We put in 20 items changes in the patch, most of them AP, so forgiven. That to the patch. He says, okay, when everybody's looking at all those AP items, I will pick Lucian and I will get my first win in the LCS.
That was the highlight.
That was
Lucian
great.
won a game, but we saw Rylai's a few times. I think it's a fantastic item, especially when you snowball. Also,
a lot of items are.
One of the I'm sure. I mean, but Rumble now as well as a champion, I don't feel like you should just sacrifice him in the early game and be like, yeah, you know, you just need a few magic penetration items, you're going to be fine. No, because he benefits so much from the Rylai's and so on. Like, make sure he gets farm, because then he becomes super strong. I think we're going to see more. Probably talked about teams need to adapt, and this is just the first week.
Yeah, we'll definitely see more Rumble, but we actually saw more gameplay of Kalista than we've seen before. A couple of teams not prioritizing it in the bans phase slipped through. She was adjusted, but clearly when it looks towards the top side of the table, top teams are still putting Kalista somewhere on their radar to ban out. So that's one that I'm tracking now as we head into a second day on this patch. How is that bot lane going to evolve?
Definitely so, and in turn, because Rumble gets even stronger, we saw Riven. So it's very interesting how this pick and ban adapts, because some picks become top tier and they require a harder counter now. As Hooney said, I was looking for a counter, couldn't find one, so I just went for the Riven.
And I always like this change once this meta kind of settles in, seasons in, people understand the top picks. Then the counters come out, and we'll see likely some more counters for Poke too, because Varus has been doing well as a champion as well.
Yeah, they always say, if you're looking for a counter, put on your spectacles and you'll find them anyway.
They say that indeed.
Indeed. Well, together with the cat and the cow and everything and the stove. Anyway, turning to Fantasy LCS, where the split ends next week. Those of you with H2K's Ryu on your roster may be in for a late season surge. We talked about it already here. Well, he picked up 14 kills, 4 assists with that Realize Ahri, and that's a total of almost 41 points today, which is the highest in Europe. Pretty good feat by him and pretty good game.
He didn't even smile.
He didn't even.
Just sitting there, killing people left and right. I like when Ryu is on form, by the way. And Adri, if you had him on your fantasy team, sorry.
Yeah, he's probably gonna forget about that game pretty fast as Jinx today. Well, as we wind down for the night, don't panic. The European LCS continues tomorrow as Giants play Roccat, and then H2K will pick on the Copenhagen Wolves. And later in the day, the Unicorns of Love will go at it against Gambit for 4th place. We talked about it so much already. That's gonna be a fantastic matchup, and just everything. You were pretty hyped when you were on the caster desk. It's getting so incredibly exciting.
I just love getting closer to playoffs because this is what all the teams are playing for. And even SK with the win today, trying maybe to go towards the playoff spot, at least out of promotion tournament.
Yeah, there's 3 teams on 7 wins, I believe, and then 2 more on 6 right below them. Anything can change in these three different games, and especially the prep towards the final week. I like it when it's close, when nothing is decided. Yes, maybe Wolves are at the bottom, and they can still technically get out to 9th place, which dodges them the auto relegation. So very interesting day tomorrow, and even more interesting next week rather.
Next week, indeed. Well, you don't have to wait long. We'll be right back here tomorrow with our pre-game coverage at 6 p.m. Central European Time. That is 9 a.m. Pacific. And until then, on behalf of myself and everyone here at the European LCS, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
This could determine playoff seeding for H2K. They need to stop the slide. 1 and 5 in the last 3 weeks.
Full hog wild onto Godfrey, on to Whirlin, looking now for Audrey Ryu. Spirit rushes his way over. This guy is unstoppable.
Varus. Nice. Toll 3, Toll 2. Run. Rek'Sai. Toll Scorpion. Koki. Rumble. Nice.
Here comes Freeze, here comes Lenny, here comes Kaz, but they're just gonna serve themselves up on a plate. And Elements come up with the win.
You have to go deeper. You have to start at the front and do dust jokes. That's just legitimately not funny anymore. But then again, it is actually pretty funny.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
As a remove the gangplank. I can't do that. Please do it. See ya, nerds. Whoa. Boys.
In comes the big Gnar, knocks Marnets, gets us done into the shock blast. They take him down. Freddy is eating the lasers. It's like a bad monster movie. SK Gaming with the win.
Cyberfrost gonna put down the heel, looking for a follow-up. Pick it! Will he get the double the minions?
Watch out, solo queue! Lucian is back.
Reckless has got a kill. A 3-man stun from the key strike. That's a huge team fight for Fnatic. Fnatic remain undefeated at 15-0.